Good evening, everyone. Made a little bit of progress today. The shadow being probably the most prominent of the additions because it's removable completely. It's on its own layer, which makes it kind of interesting. It's hot. Showing the wife some examples of 2D games in history making use of shadows and dark spots, but only in certain locations, to emphasize that they have a I want to say a depth, because it is a depth from the camera's perspective. This is kind of cool. This is actually a spawner. Spawner object battery. And what happens is when this is created, when the game is running, it actually creates the enemy on top of it. Kind of neat. I'm going to clean up that texture a little bit though, so that when the enemy explodes, it replaces the texture with something a little bit more bombed out looking. I also want to add a layer for explosions to create divots in the ground. Let's get on to our first order of business. This is actually a spawner too. This star. This spawns the player game. And you have to kind of do it that way because I'm using the same maps from 1 and 2 player. Because it checks how many players have been selected, and it actually creates the player 2 object offset the player 1 object, actually offset from the anchor. But, so if I go to 2 players is the 1. Something's debug logging to the console there. Probably the turret. It's a shadow layer, I don't need that anymore. Mobile data. This is the bullets. It goes right now. This is the actual turret. Created that. Oh wait, I think I did need that actually. Because that works. I was having a little bit of an issue with the object's health. I didn't realize that health was a built-in game maker variable, and if you can override it, that's fine, but you have to do it here in create. If you try to do it here with variable definitions, it does not actually override it. It was a bit of a thing. I didn't realize that was how that worked. Shift this out. Put it here. What do I have here? This is the object in the Mac. I don't actually remember what this is for. Oh. This is a base class. This doesn't do anything right now. This is just for me to do type checks. Basically, you can drive your Jeep into enemies, but not into enemy mechs. If you drive into an enemy mech, you will lose a life. Oh, hey, JMZ, how you doing, bud? Yeah, I really like the new mic. Shall we say, it does my incredibly deep voice a little bit more justice than this terrible thing does. I'm a big fan. So this is where we're at. This is still just a test level. There's not a lot going on here. We want to test. I think I have collisions in. I'm quite sure. I don't fully remember. Driving to the woods here. Yeah, that stops you. Okay. All right. First things first. Jeep has 2 weapons, but only one is currently in the game. So we're going to add... That's... There we go. We don't do full screen. That's not... No bueno. Not enough stuff happening. Okay. Say function. Fire. Grenade. We're actually going to take direction as an argument. Shouldn't need it, but yeah. Okay, so I can say if global input get pressed name. I don't actually remember the name of it. We're going to use for this. Where are my globals? Here. Is it just fire? Is that what I use fire? No, it's fire. Okay, so it's fire. Fire, nade, and then the direction is just going to be direction. I don't believe I have the grenade asset imported yet. I don't. We have bullets. It is a form of projectile, I guess. We can create a new sprite. SPR grenade. We're going to created. There it is. That's really big. That's a weird size. This one, how big is this image? Middle center at the origin point. Collision mask. Precise per frame because this is going to rotate. Alright. So to fire the I need an object for it as well. That's right. So we'll create a new object. Say OBJ player grenade. Because there are enemy grenades too. That's the thing. That's fine for now. So I can just say var need equals instance create depth xy depth 15 obj player grenade. You know, I didn't assign that a sprite, which is gonna confuse me here in a second. Okay. And I believe that this is going to be entirely too big, so we're going to set up a configuration struct to go with it. And say image x scale is, we'll start with 0.5. Let's see if I need to make it smaller. Y scale is also 0.5. Alright. Okay, then we also say direction is the provided dir, and the speed is, let's say 0.5 for now, just to see what we get. Now, in the grenades class, we're gonna say, as soon as it's created, we're gonna start an alarm. 0 equals, let's give it 3 seconds. That's actually 2 seconds. Game runs at 30 frames per second, so 90 frames, 3 seconds. Now we'll add alarm 0, so that's not throwing an error. And we're gonna say instance destroy, and if I don't provide any argument to it, it means self. But before that, we're gonna say create explosion x y we'll leave damage 0 for now. And the create explosion function is a helper function I wrote that will, oh god, no, don't call me that, veteran. That's weird. It's a little bit big. It's moving at the right speed, though, I think. No, definitely not. Okay. So we're gonna come back to here. We're gonna set our X scale to that. We're gonna set the speed to 1. That's probably gonna travel a lot further than I want it to, but that's okay for now. Yeah, it's a lot further than I needed to. So we're going to set the timer then to 2 seconds. And we're also going to add in the step event, we're going to add the step event here. And we're just going to say image angle minus. Actually, no. Minus equals 2. So it's going to spin I believe anti-clockwise, which is not actually what I want, I don't think. Let's see. Okay. Neat. Oh god, the grenade spam. Okay, so we're definitely gonna have to put a limiter on that. That's a little crazy. Very funny though. Man, there is no input delay though. That's pretty cool. Alright. Alright, first things first. Let's random 3, 5, 9. So now every time you throw a grenade, it'll start with a random angle. That's cool. Neat. Okay. So, my boy was in chat for just a second. Now he's not there anymore. Alright, so let's put a limiter on the grenade throwing ridiculousness. This is the gun timer, so we're gonna use alarm 1. It's the fire timer. Alright. Now we're gonna do the same thing we did here. So we'll just start with if not alarm 1. And what this does is it will check to see if alarm 1 already has a value, which it gets a value here. And if it does have a value, then this code will not run. If it does not have a value, or meaning the alarm has already expired, then it will run this code and reset the alarm. So this is every 10. I don't actually like that. We're going to go every 20. Let's see how that feels to play. Still too fast. I don't like it. So we're going to go with 30. That's once per second, which is... Oops. Big thud. JMZ, I don't watch anything related to the market, bud. I probably should, but I don't. I have never had the free liquid assets to get involved in trading. And also we're about to have ads in about 20 seconds. We'll just wait for ads here. We'll be right back as soon as they're done.
We've got ads.
And I'm back. Alright, we got our grenade in the game, and it is flying away from our Jeep. It creates an explosion with an interesting little sound effect, but it doesn't actually do any damage to our enemies yet, so let's fix that. Where's my mouse? Right there. Something on the monitor. So let's go into our... See, this has a an event for when it collides with a player bullet. And in that event, first thing it does is decrease the health of this object by the amount of damage that that other object does. But it's a little bit different with grenades, because the grenade itself doesn't do damage. The grenade itself creates the explosion does damage. So, and I already kind of have that mechanism in place. So here in the grenade, when we... This is not the grenade. This is the grenade. Explosion, after the alarm. Okay, right. We have 0 for the damage. We're going to set the damage to 5. In the explosion. Right. So now... Go down to here. And we actually want to test for the collision with the explosion. As I find it. Object explode. There it is. We're going to do something similar. Other in this context is a special variable that always means the object is being collided with. So in this case, it will be the explosion. So we're going to say health minus equals other damage. Now, it's possible, and in this case actually probable, that the amount of health the object will have will be less than 0. And that's okay, because we're just testing if health is less than or equal to 0. And actually, I could just copy paste that, right? Do this. Just that. And is die a neat function I wrote to kill off an object quickly? Is that what that is? I think it is. Would be in my global, I think. No? No. No, it's not. Okay. Where do I... Object battery turret. Oh, it's a method built into here. Okay. Global tribute project. Oh. Okay, that's that. It's actually a method that. Okay. Okay. And then in the bullet class, I believe I have the method to destroy the bullet when it comes in contact with an enemy neck, and it just destroys itself. Okay, yep, that's what I did. In this case, I don't have to worry about that specifically, but I do have to account for a special situation. That is when the grenade hits the object, but would otherwise go over it. And we're actually going to test if that's a thing right now. Commonly referred to as unfun gameplay. If I can lob the grenade and it goes right over it. I should not have done that. It also crashed because I used a variable without setting it properly. What? Okay, where's the object explode? Okay, here's the... this needs to also have a... I don't want to do it here. I want to do it here. We're going to set the default damage to... Actually set it to 0 by default. And let it be overwritten. That should prevent the crash. I love that subtle little... that boom. Neat. But you see the grenade can pass right through, actually underneath of this, which is problematic at best. That's cool that it rings when the explosion hits it. It's also failing to do what it's supposed to do, but we'll get to that in a second. So let's go back into the turret class. And we're going to add one more event for... no, actually, we're not. We're going to go into the grenade class. We're going to do it there. We're going to collide with object, enemy, mech. And we're just going to create explosion X, Y, damage. Oh no, it's 5 to the grenade. Okay, that's not a variable. And then I'm going to say instance destroy, and that'll cause the grenade to explode on impact. However, the turret is not taking damage for some reason. And I'm not entirely certain why that's happening, but oh, because the... Nope, that's fine. This is the turret creating its own explosion on death. And running okay. Something's happening there that's not supposed to. Neat. It's just printing 3s. Which means its health is not changing. Let's go back to the Jeep. Jeep throws a grenade. With direction, speed, okay. Grenade. When it runs into the mech, creates an explosion. Gives you X, Y, and damage. It's mad about this. Says that it doesn't exist. Explode. Alright, so maybe it doesn't like this. Did I spell it wrong? I do that sometimes. No, I didn't. So we're gonna delete to set it here. This is an integer. We'll set it to damage. Alright. We'll try that. Neat. Also, it's -2, which is what it should be. Step event object explode for event object battery turret. I think it's trying to do something after it died. Unknown owner. Oh, not set before reading. Okay. So this is a neat little thing that I have set up here that I forgot to account for. Basically, in a 2-player game, it's not possible. I had to build a mechanism to know which player is attacking what, and that runs through this variable I call owner. And the grenade does not have an owner, and neither does the explosion. So we're going to have to fix that. So we'll start with the G. And we're going to just specify owner equals name. Now, the grenade doesn't have an owner field, so let's add that. Let's say string owner. The default will be player 1, so it has a default, so it's not null. Now we're going to create the explosion, and we're also going to send the owner to it. I was going to break a bunch of stuff, but that's okay. And now I go into the object explosion. And I also create a variable here. And again, it will be player 1 as default, just to prevent issues. Okay. And now, I probably didn't account for everything. Definitely didn't account for everything, but neat. Unknown object score cannot be resolved. Okay, that's a little bit more of a problem. And that was being done from where? Global attribute project owner score, projectile owner score. Okay. That's being done from the turret, I believe, when it dies. Might have to do that with a second, because it's going to look up something that doesn't exist. Oh. Because other in this case is the explosion. Oh. So the explosion owner. This is an asset, so we're going to change it to other owner as well. And then in here, we're going to change this owner and remove all of this. Now I should have actually a string there. But this is still going to be a problem. So we're going to write a new function to do the same thing that doesn't do damage. Why is this mad? Instance creates these 4 arguments can only be provided. Oh, the object itself. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, and then, okay, dumb. And that'll just create the explosion and then also play the audio. Okay, so now I have this method that doesn't actually do damage, but creates the same effect. So now I come over here. Where I need an explosion in a place like this. Nope. This is the... Your explosion takes no more than 3 arguments before provided. Nope. Your explosion takes 4 arguments. You are on drugs, Game Maker. Okay. But here in the... Here. In the bullet, or no, where it collides with the bullet, this isn't important. I just needed to... Oh. Same thing here. I don't need a damage value. Just need a boom. Okay. Oh. I forget. How do I... Okay.
JMZ 50,607 from Twitch says, later Gators.
Alright, JMZ, we'll see you later, man. And you're the first person to use TTS in literally months. Also super glad that's working now. it's concerning that this wants to be angry with me. Now it's not angry. Okay. Is there any other place I use create explosion? Probably. Why is that mad? That should not be mad. Variable owner does not exist in objects variable definitions. That's for the grenade itself. Yes. Yes, it does. It's right there. You are once again on drugs. Alright, let's test it out. See where it explodes. Neat. Okay, variable object unknown score. Okay, still is having issues with the score object. Global attribute owner score. Why is that thing? Okay, import this. Let me run it one more time because it wasn't having trouble with machine gun before, but I changed it, so it probably is now. That worked fine, right? Kind of hard to tell because it didn't actually update anything. Let's go into the Mac, not the Mac, the turret base. Explode. Owner. It's the bullet player. Bullet player does have it. Yeah, it does. This is a string. Does create explosion function, which is here, which passes it as a string. Okay. Then the mech gets it, receives it as a string, also receives it as a string, passes that into die or global attrib owner, which is what this is. Dot score. Okay, hold on. Maybe that's wrong. Global attrib owner score. No, that's right. It's angry though. It really doesn't like that. Although it was working fine with just the machine gun.
We've got ads.
And we got ads. We don't need the ricochet sound for explosions that don't do damage. Kill it. Problem is here. If global trib owner no one. Show debug text message. What is the value of Neat. It did nothing. Okay, I guess it just works now. I guess you have to test it first. The lookups are failing. You know, I had a problem with this before with collisions too. Yeah, there's the score. Okay. Okay, so that works just fine. So we can just delete all of this. And this show debug message. We don't need that anymore. This. That's actually pretty good for not even a real hour's worth of work on this. We've already got grenades working, and they are exploding. Well, at least one kind of enemy. Let's put another enemy on the map. Is there an object? This one is 7.5. That's kind of annoying. Okay, so one broke and one did not. Why? Same place, the scoring. Instead of event object, explode for event object. Not able to look up the config object from mobile consistently, even though I checked. That's so weird. All right, let's be a little more verbose about it. Okay, so we're going to say var player big. Oh, it doesn't like that. It's like it wants snake keys for all variables. Global. Big. Good. Not even. Destroy. Else. Go. Club. Switch. Nothing uncomfortable. Object score cannot result. Again, specifically check. Now this is the wish the stack traces here were a little better formatted. Line 059. I know what's happening. Okay, I know exactly what's happening. What's happening is when this dies, it creates this create boom. This creates a secondary object explosion, which does not have these values attached to it. And that's what's throwing it off. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is create a second. We're going to duplicate this object. And we're going to call it dummy. Okay. And here we're just going to rename it to dummy. No, it's still fucking boomed. Okay. Player config score plus 9. Starting at this line. Okay. References are being passed somewhere. Got it, because the machine gun worked fine. The object bullet. Explode. Here. Actually, dummy. That's the same variable definitions. But they're okay. So here's the thing, right? The owner variable has a default of player 1, which means this always has a value when it's being set, or when the object is created. Undefined. Okay, which means the grenade. Let's see, grenade. Which is thrown by the Jeep. That grenade owner has value. That is name. Eat my ass. Why does it work sometimes and not others? Okay. It loses the reference sometimes. It just loses it. That's really frustrating. Grenade knows who it is at all times. This is from the turret. So we remove this. What do you go into the grenade code? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That worked fine because the grenade hit the object and then exploded, created the explosion. The problem is not where I'm looking. The problem is in the grenade timer. Here it is. Alarm 0. Right there. So we need to put owner in here. That should fix it. So let me get rid of this debug message. I will get rid of the other one. Okay. Oopsie. Yeah, why was it working sometimes and not others? Because I wasn't aware of the situation that was happening. Because when the grenade runs into an enemy, like that, it immediately explodes. It's a different piece of code this time. But when you just throw a grenade, it creates its own explosion when its timer runs out. Perfect. That, my friends, is how you go boom. Okay. That was a big debacle. It wasn't. It was a minor oversight, but something like that can be really frustrating. And honestly, if I'd have used the debugger, I probably would have figured out what was going on a lot sooner. But that's okay. Alright, so that's grenades in the game, and affecting the only enemy that is currently in the game. Other enemies include tanks, enemy jeeps, and little soldiers that walk around, as well as some other assorted things. I'm not entirely sure what else I'm going to add. Always open to suggestions there. But it is almost midnight, and I unfortunately have a full list of things I need to be doing tomorrow, so I need to get my beauty sleep, or else I will turn into a pumpkin. We can't have that. I make a bad pumpkin chat. Alright, so we're going to give this a break, and I will see you all tomorrow when we work on this a little bit more. And I'll probably work on it a little bit through the day too, depending on what else I have going on. Maybe I'll do some art tomorrow. I've got a lot more art I have to create. This is that shadow layer I was talking about. You can just barely see the transparencies that are on there that translate into the game world. It's very cool. Probably not done making shadows either, but also not, because I have to do vertical bridges as well, not just horizontal. But that's pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure I like the white of this bridge. I might gray it out a little bit more. It seems a little too marbly. But we'll talk about that later. For now, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you all tomorrow night.